Hello students, welcome to the lecture 3 of electrostats. In the last video lecture, I left you at electrostatic induction. Let us have a recall of that. In electrostatic induction, the charged body and uncharged body were kept close to each other. There was no contact between them. It means the charged body is kept in the vicinity of the uncharged body. In this figure we can see the negatively charged rod is kept in the vicinity of this uncharged. Initially this metallic sphere was uncharged, so this negatively charged rod is kept in the vicinity of this uncharged metallic sphere. When it is done, these negative charges will attract the positive charges, which are positive ions actually, which have been created by losing the electrons from the atoms, or we can say the parent atoms. So the electrons which have been removed from the atoms, they are repelled by these negative charges on the either side of the sphere, and the positive charges are attracted towards this side of the sphere. Okay, due to the attraction force, these positive charges are located over here, and due to the repulsion, these negative charges or electrons are located over here. If we connect this particular part of the sphere, this side of the sphere, to the ground, okay, we connect this side of the sphere to the earth, the electrons, free electrons or negative charges will flow to the earth. This is a conducting wire, so they will flow to the earth. And if after this, if we remove this charge rod from here, definitely these positive charges will spread over the metallic sphere like this, because metal is a conductor, and according to electrostats, the conductors are those materials which allow the charges to flow through it. So to maintain the equilibrium, they will flow on the metallic sphere and they will spread over like this. Okay, and this metallic sphere, which was initially uncharged, now it will become positively charged. Okay, like this. This is the process of electrostatic induction. This method of charging is known as electrostatic induction, because there was no contact between the charged body and uncharged body. Now, some specific observations are there. Okay, some important facts are there associated with the induction. Those are: first fact is, the inducing body neither gains nor loses the charge. Inducing body is the rod in this particular figure. This rod is in the inducing body. You can see this rod, neither this rod gains the charge nor it loses the charge, only it induces the charge on this body. So that's why the same thing is written over here. This inducing body neither gains or loses the charge. That rod is only repelling the electrons, attracting the positive charge. Okay. Second point, the nature of induced charge is always opposite to that of inducing charge. Okay, this is inducing charge, and these charges are induced charge. They are always opposite in nature. This is positive, these are positive charges, and these are negative charges. Okay, a negative charge or negatively charged body was kept in the vicinity of an uncharged body. So uncharged body has become positively charged. So therefore they have opposite nature. Okay. Third point, induction takes place only in bodies. Either they are conducting or they are non-conducting, and not in particles. Next to it, the next method of charging is conduction. What is conduction? Let us see. The conduction is the process of transfer of charge by contact of two bodies. Okay. In this process, the two bodies, it means uncharged body and charged body, they must be in contact. Okay. Next line is written as, if a charged body is put in contact with uncharged body, the uncharged body becomes charged due to transfer of electrons from one body to other. In the process of conduction, definitely the transfer of electrons take place. Okay. In this first example, we can see how the transfer of electrons takes place, we are going to understand from this figure. If the charge body is negatively charged like this rod is negatively charged, and this negatively charged rod is kept in contact with this uncharged sphere, the negative charges will be transferred to this particular uncharged sphere, and since the electrons or negative charges are transferred to this sphere, so therefore this sphere will have the efficiency of electron and this sphere will become negatively charged. Okay, here also we can see the transfer of electron takes place. Let us see another example. Another example is what? If this charge body would have been a positively charged rod, what will happen in this case? If positively charged rod is kept in contact with an uncharged sphere, what will happen? This positively charged rod will attract the electrons of this sphere towards it, okay, and repel the positive ions or positive charges. Now you can see again, due to the attraction, the transfer of electrons takes place from this uncharged sphere to this charged body. Again, this effect becomes true over here. That is what transfer of electrons takes place. And when transfer of electron takes place from this uncharged sphere to this positively charged rod, definitely at the place of these electrons, because they have left their parent atoms, they will become those parent atoms will become positive ion, and this particular uncharged sphere will become positively charged. Okay, these are the two ways through which we can charge a body by the process of conduction. Okay, next to it. Next, we are going to observe some important points, okay, in the process of conduction. What are those important points or the important facts? We are going to observe those facts. The charge body loses some of its charge. We could see there the charge body was losing its charge, which is equal to the charge gained by the uncharged body. Whatever charge gained by the uncharged body, whatever charge gained by this sphere, that was equal to charge lost by this rod. In this case also, whatever charge gained by this particular uncharged body, you can see this line again, I am reading for you. The charge gained by the uncharged body is always lesser than the initial charge present on the charged body. So whatever charge gained by the uncharged body, you can see whatever charge gained by this sphere, it is always less than the initial charge present on this rod. Again, whatever charge has been transferred to this particular rod, positively charged rod. These electrons were transferred to this rod, and this sphere has become positively charged. So definitely these positively charged, this net charge will always be less than the initial charge present on this particular rod. Why initial charge? Because initially more number of positive charges were there. Now after being neutralized from these electrons, okay, definitely the positive charges will reduce. So that initial charges, whatever initial charge is present on this rod, will always be greater than these amount of charge present on this sphere after being charged. Okay, that is the meaning of this line. That is the meaning of this line. The charge gained by the uncharged body is always less than the initial charge present on the charged body. Next point, flow of charge depends upon the potential difference of both the bodies. It means the charge always flows from higher potential to lower potential. At little extent you have already studied this particular fact in class 10th also. Okay, but further we'll elaborate it much more in the next chapter, that is electrostatic potential and capacitance. Okay, here only you just remember this point, that the charges always flow from higher potential to lower potential, so and their flow depends on the potential difference. How much is the potential difference between the two bodies? Okay. Next, now we are going to observe the difference between the charge and the mass. Okay, some differences are there between charge and mass. We are going to observe that. The first difference is what? In SI units, charge is derived physical quantity while mass is fundamental quantity. We have already studied this in units and measurement chapter in class 11th, that the charge is derived quantity there the electric current was fundamental quantity, but charge was derived physical quantity, but mass is a fundamental physical quantity. Second point is what? Charge is always conserved, but mass is not conserved. Okay. After having so many discoveries in physics, initially we were talking only about the conservation of mass and only the conservation of energy, but now we talk about the mass energy conservation. Okay, alone conservation of mass and alone conservation of energy do not stand. They always stand together. Conservation of mass energy conservation. Okay, so mass may be converted into energy, but so therefore we can say the charge is conserved, but mass is not conserved. According to this relation also, this relation is called as energy mass equivalence relation of Albert Einstein. E is equal to mc square. Next to it, sorry, this is fourth point written, actually this is third point. What is that? For a moving charge body, mass increases while charge remains constant. Okay, if a body is moving, so in some specific case, in some specific conditions, the mass of the body increases while the charge will always remain constant. In all the conditions, in all the cases, charge will remain constant, but mass of the body may increase. What is that case? In which case it will happen? That case occurs in the when we talk about the Albert Einstein's special theory of relativity. What is that case? We will observe in these 2 points. This first point I will explain you later after explaining these two. For a non-relativistic means the condition in which the special theory of relativity is not followed. It means the velocity of charged particle is not comparable with the speed of light. C is the speed of light. Okay, the value of q by m is equal to constant. It means the mass of the body does not change, and in that case, if the mass of the body does not change, either charged body is at rest or charged body is in motion. So therefore q, and charge is always conserved, charge is always same, so that's why q by m will remain constant. But in the case of relativistic charge particle, it means if the charged particle follows the condition of the special theory of relativity, the ratio q by m decreases as velocity of charged particle increases. So you can see over here, if the mass of the charged particle increases, or we can say the charged particle is following the special condition of special theory of relativity. It means the charged particle is a relativistic charged particle. And when it will be followed? Definitely it will be followed when the velocity of charged particle is comparable with the speed of light. Okay. So in that case, q by m will decrease as velocity of charged particle increases, because the mass of charged particle will change. So this is the case where we can see the charge is always conserved, charge on the body never changes, but mass may change. Okay, so this is the explanation. First point I left, now I am going to elaborate it. True test of electrification is repulsion and not attraction, as attraction may also take place between a charge and an uncharged body. In the beginning of electrostats, in the introduction of this chapter, we have seen that when or we can see a very formal example, if we rub a scale on our hair and light pieces of paper are there, and we are going to keep the scale in the vicinity of those pieces of paper, the scale ruler will attract the light pieces. You can see that that happens because the scale has already become charged after rubbing it with hair. So there what we observe, the charge one particle is charged, another particle is uncharged. So attraction occurs over there. So therefore body has been electrified or not. It can be tested not with attraction, can be tested with repulsion. Okay, that's all about in this video session. Whatever we have studied in this video session, hopefully you will revise all the things nicely. You will keep on studying, you will keep on working hard. All the best. We'll meet in the next video session. Thank you.